is Ram Mohan. I come with 29 years of experience, 18 years in leadership role in IBM and Kyndryl, and I was the director of operations for data science and cybersecurity. So, can somebody confirm that you are able to hear me loud and clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, let
So,
me share my
yeah.
screen and then I will tell you what we are going to do today, and I'll just walk you through. Before we do that, we need to understand that this will be done in two parts. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to talk about less theory and more in terms of the architecture, because it's very important that you understand the Claude architecture to actually use the tool. Okay.
ये क्या
S-
अब मुझे बोल रहा
Uh,
था तुम लोग ये कर रहा है
can
भाई
you please go on mute while I'm doing this because it's very disturbing. All right. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with the architecture of Claude Code, which is very important for anybody to understand. I'm not going to do much of theory, but really the practical aspects of Claude Code. And then at the end, we are going to run a demo to show you how the tool works. In between, I will stop after a 1 hour break, around 50 minutes. And then if you have any questions, you can ask me a few questions at the break of 1 hour. And then once I answer that question, we will go into the second half. And then I will show you the demo. And then if you have any questions further, you can ask me the questions and then we'll sign off for the program. So this will be for 2 hours, as you all know. So there will be a little bit of a concept which all of you need to understand. I am not going to run too much of text and slide and boring content. It will be purely from the architecture perspective. And then I will tell you what all of you need to understand and how do you actually make your mark in this world of vibe coding or AI assisted tools. Before I go into that, let me tell you something. The good news and the bad news. The good news is that writing code has become easier now. Writing code has become easier because of the tools like Claude Code, Cursor, GitHub Copilot, or Codex. They are different tools from different companies or different organizations, and all of them have their strengths and weaknesses. But fundamentally, code writing has become easy. That's the good news. The not so good news or the bad news is that you still need to understand how to write production grade code. The problem with most of the people in the industry is that they are understanding as these tools like Cursor or Claude is that you write a few prompts here and there and then you expect production grade code which you can deploy actually in the real world. That is very far from truth. Writing the code has become easy because of the tools, but understanding the code, understanding the architecture, understanding the business case, understanding the customer's use case becomes far more important. Just because you can write a few prompts well, you do not become a good AI assistant coder. This message, I want all of you to drill in your minds. And this is a wrong perception that goes on in the market that writing code is now easy. Yes, writing code is easy in a different way, but you still need to understand the data structures. You still need to understand the architecture. You still need to understand how these tools work. If you do not do that, then you can never write production grade code. You can write some code doing some time pass at your free time and which is of no good to anybody. If you want to write industrial scale code, if you want to write hardcore engineering code, if you want to write which can be deployed in the production, you need to understand certain things, certain mental models, certain architectural patterns, and how you are going to actually do that using any of these tools, namely Claude, Cursor, or GitHub Copilot, or even Codex. We are talking today about Claude Code, one of the most popular AI assisted tools. I do not want to use the name as vibe coding because that's not a real definition. It's too informal. I would like to call these tools as AI assisted software development. Can somebody go on mute, please? People are laughing, giggling, and then others are getting disturbed. So we were talking about understanding this in the AI assisted cloud code. How do you do that? So for that, you need to understand the architecture. Now, if you look at the screen here, because unless you understand the architecture, you cannot leverage all the things that are there as part of the cloud tool. So let us look at the architecture first. If you look at the screen here, there is an input layer.
Sir Rammohan sir, your voice is not audible.
Yeah, is it audible now? In between, there was a blip. Is it fine now?
Yeah, it's
Hello?
fine now.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was talking about that. So let us look at the uh, architecture and then we will continue. So you give something at the input layer as your programming requirement. It goes through a session manager. It goes through a permission gate. Then it picks up the knowledge repository which is there within the cloud code. Then it will actually start a master agent loop, and then there are multi agents that run, each one of them doing one task. I have listed out here, and there is an execution layer which actually starts writing the code and executing the code. Okay, and then there are integration layers where you want to connect your Claude to using model context protocol to other tools which are available outside the Claude ecosystem. And then you have an observability layer, which is actually taking a look at how this code thing is actually working and how it is actually taking care of it at very important intervals. So anything which you are talking about is all about using the cloud code. And for that, you need to know the architecture. So if you look at this architecture, input layer, master layer, internally there are multi-agents, there is orchestration, there is observability, there is integration, and there is output layer. If you know this architecture, which is very important, then as I told you, you can write the code which is production grade and engineering grade. Now I keep repeating these terms like a broken record because it is very important to you for all of you to know that writing code is not like writing prompts. It is serious engineering stuff and it requires some thought. There is a method to the madness and there is a procedure that you need to follow. This is about the architecture. Any questions on the architecture before I proceed further? Let me ask the first question, I would say. Anybody has any? Please feel to make it interactive so that I will also know what you are understanding and what you're not. All right. So once you know the architecture,
We can't hear you.
somebody is muting me actually. I don't know why. Uh, this is the second time somebody has muted. Are you able to hear me now? Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah. Somebody has done a all mute all, so that's why I think it got muted. All right. So what we are going to do is that I am going to show you. Look at this thing. This is how internally the Claude code is actually built. It is not a coding assistant. Please remember, if you're attending an interview tomorrow, or if you're actually want to make a career in using these AI assisted code tools, you should never say that it is a coding assistant. It is an out and out complete engineering workflow agent. So it is an agentic system that is running internally, and it is not just writing some prompts and then not a chatbot. It is a repo aware. It can read code repositories. It is tool aware. It can understand the input from the tools. It is test aware. It can actually do a lot of testing by itself and then generate at runtime. It can do both static code testing and dynamic code testing. That is runtime as well as at design time. So see here in this diagram which you're seeing, you can actually feed the code base. You can run it via the terminal or you can run it via the app. You can actually generate a lot of test runs. You can do test suites. You can analyze the results, and that results can be stored in a Git or a GitHub. It can be stored for review. It can be stored with commits. It can be stored to manage different branches. So you can write using Claude code. You can do all these things and you can also store it in your GitHub. So what you are essentially doing is, if there are three or four developers working together, all the four developers are actually using the shared code which is stored in the Git. So when you're doing the large scale development, the coding activity has to be shared obviously from by different developers. So while you're using Claude code individually at your desktop, at your workplace, you are actually storing all the code in a common Git where all the other developers can work in a collaborative way. This is one advantage of using an AI assisted tool which is integrated with the Git. Secondly, you can also use the Claude code integrated in your CI/CD pipelines. So you can automate the entire thing. So it can trigger pipelines, it can read the logs, it can act on build, and it can test the results. So the entire software security chain in the entire supply chain, you can actually have a CI/CD pipelines along with Git, and you can pretty much automate the entire coding activity. It can also read and docs and workflow. You know, one of the biggest problems of developers, I'm talking about the yesteryear developers, that they were very good in coding, but they never liked to do documentation. They were never liked to do SOPs, creating SOPs. They never liked to do creating diagrams for the documentation or the code that has been written. With Claude Code, life has become very easy because the Claude Code can itself generate the documentation. It can somebody go on mute, please? The Claude Code it is can generate documentation, and the Claude Code can generate give the open APIs. It can actually update the docs. It can create nice diagrams, and it can actually create an excellent documentation support to the code that you have written. Many of the developers in the previous days used to find this very boring, but with this tool, an AI based AI code assisted tool, it can do. So what I'm trying to tell you is that whatever I have told you just now about Git CI/CD pipelines, docs and workflows, it's a complete end-to-end engineering workflow agent. It is not a coding assistant. So therefore, you have to understand and you have to learn all the engineering aspects of how to use Claude code and how to generate production grade code. Writing a normal code, writing a vanity code, writing a demo code, writing a POC code is easy. But really writing a production grade code requires a different skill set. It's not only skill set, you require some method, you require some engineering rigor. So today we are going to talk about what are the things which are there in the tool and how do you use that to actually generate your production grade code. That is what we are going to do today. So I spoke about the architecture. You realize that the architecture had many layers. You also realize that the architecture is agentic. Everything now in the world is moving towards agentic. So even the AI assisted code tools like the Claude or the Codex are all agentic in nature. So it can fire, there will be one master agent and that will fire many sub agents within that, and that will work parallelly if it is required, or that can work serially if it is required. And then I spoke about what it can do. It's a complete agentic SDLC engineering tool, updating the Git, managing the merges, managing the commits, managing the state changes, CI/CD pipelines are true power. And lot of boring and unglamorous job of creating documentation, workflows, diagrams, run books, all this becomes easier because then the code gets generated and you can tell it to even to generate the run books along with that. This is the big advantage of using any of these AI assisted cloud coding tools. Now, we have to understand what are the engineering aspects in this. I've been talking about in the last 5-10 minutes, two words I've been continuously using: production engineering, production engineering. And that is the reality. Nobody is going to take your code seriously if it is not production worthy deployable. Nobody is going to take your code seriously if it is not done with engineering.
Hello, not able to hear.
Somebody is muting me again and again, so I don't know what's happening. Are you able to hear me now? Hello?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Please do not do mute all, but I think somebody is doing that and then I'm just getting muted out. Okay. Because I'll be losing the flow. And then now we go into the SDLC engineering. So what is this engineering is all about? Let's look at this. What happens is that you need to have code base understanding, review the technical debt, test the gap, slow debugging, legacy complexity, inconsistent documentation. Any code which we have seen, production code which has been deployed across many organizations in the world, you will always see the same thing. It is hard to understand large and complex code. It's one of the engineering bottlenecks. It is very difficult to review the technical debt because there are too many PRs, not enough time to review them. All the tests that are happening are either missing or outdated. That is adding a risk. The debugging process is very slow and root cause is taking too much of time. And the legacy code, which was written 15 or 20 years back, is all written in the old code, in the old deprecated way. There is tight coupling, there are hidden dependencies, and there are outdated patterns. All these are the problems with the
Sir, you are muted.
I don't know why this is getting muted. Is it some settings, Ram, or what is the thing here? Because I just don't understand why it is getting muted every minute.
No, sir. Actually, as admin, I can able to see the mute all option, but I don't know whether people are also getting mute all or something.
Yeah, because it's fourth time anyway. So,
Guys,
Yes,
so
please
we are
this
don't
is
also can
use.
able to see. Yes, actually, we are also getting that option.
Okay, so don't use that mute all option. So
yeah. I think that can you disable that? Is it a possible,
on the
Ram?
meeting, I'm not sure, sir. I need to check it with that.
Okay, fine. Take it. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so these are the engineering bottlenecks that are there. So what it does is that if you're using a Claude code or a cursor or a codex, it is far more easier to manage these bottlenecks because it understands large code in a jiffy. It can give you the deconstructed information about what that code does. It can do the review thoroughly. If the tests are outdated, it can write new tests. If some tests are missing, it will take care of that. If the code has written in a bad way, it will try to analyze and tell that, okay, there are some outdated patterns, there are some hidden dependencies and inconsistent documentation. I told you, people are not good at writing documentation. They find it not a glamorous thing to do. All this can be done with Claude Code. To do all this, you need to be very good in writing prompts because the way you interact are two ways. You write an engineering grade code specification and then say you create the code based on the specification. The second way is to write prompts. If you are using these tools by writing prompts, then you are using the tools at a very low level. You are actually not using the capacity of the tools. But if you are using specs based development, that means you understand the architecture and you also understand the power of this tool and you know how to use and leverage the power of the tool. Let us say I have given you a Ferrari car. The Ferrari car has got a very good horsepower. But if you are driving that car like Maruti car on the main road, then you are actually not leveraging all the features what that car offers. Because it is known for speed, it is known for acceleration, it is known for horsepower, it is known for the speed of the engine. Similarly, if you're using Claude Code only by writing prompts for each one of them, that means you're actually not leveraging the entire tool. The real way to leverage is use a engineering method of doing it, that is specs based development. Now I'll stop the sharing. I'll putting all these terms in the chat so that you understand what I'm talking about. So the chat button is muted me, so I don't know what's happening. Anyway, so let's continue. Ram, the chat button is not working. It is saying having message to load. Anyway, that's fine. Once
Yes,
it works, I will check that one. So let's continue. So what I wanted to tell you is that what we call now is specs based coding or specs based development. What is specs based development? You're not writing prompt, but you're giving specs, specifications, and you're developing the code. Yeah, Kanoj, what is your question? You raised your hand. Yeah, go ahead. You're on mute, I think.
Yes, yes, I'm audible. I hope. Your screen is unshared.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen, but have you understood what I said? Specs based coding. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, so Kanoj, you can
Yes,
ask your
yes.
question.
No, nothing. I'm just wanted to let you know that your screen is unshared.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you. So this is the what the engineering is all about. Okay, specs based development, not prompts, not writing prompts. Now let us look at that. So where it actually fits in. See here, as I told you, it not only does GitHub, not only does automation of scripts, it not only does CI/CD pipelines, it can also do MCP. MCP is nothing but Model Context Protocol, meaning you can write the code by connecting to your legacy systems and getting the context and information from your legacy systems. You can refactor the code, you can modernize the code, you can debug the code, and you can generate the code. All these things can be done because along with all this, you can also do a model context protocol integration. That is a backward integration. You want to generate the code, AI driven code using Claude code, but the context and the information is there in your legacy systems. Let us say you have a CRM. Let us say you are an ERP. Let us say you have some other software that is a legacy software running from many number of years. You want to develop the new code now, but you want to pick up the context and the information from the legacy systems and generate most modern, refactored, and modernized code. So for that, you can use an MCP. So along with Claude Code, you can connect it backwards to any of these tools, and then you can generate the context from there, which will help in generating the code required for those kind of a modules. So backward integration is possible with these AI tools. So that means what? It means you can either run a white or brownfield code, or you can run a greenfield code. What is the difference between brownfield and greenfield code creation? What is a brownfield code? When you say brownfield code, you're actually using your legacy system, and using that legacy system, the context that is defined in the legacy system, you're using that to generate the code. The code is already there. You're either modernizing it, you're either refactoring it, or you are debugging it or making it better. The other way to look at it is you're writing the code from ground up. That is a greenfield implementation. So remember, Claude Code can be used for brownfield implementations. Claude Code can also be used for greenfield implementation, obviously. But the biggest advantage companies are finding out is that you can do Claude Code. The real leverage comes from brownfield implementation and making changes and updating already available code rather than writing something from ground up. So companies will always invest on those kind of projects or programs or portfolios which already has the brownfield code. The code base is already there, but that has become old, that has become stale. Now you need to modernize it. And Claude Code can do that because it has an MCP enterprise tools, which can internally connect to those tools and systems. It can connect to multiple tools. So you can gather context from multiple tools and you can use the Claude Code to generate. That is the big advantage of this. Okay, now what next? The next thing you need to understand is the harness. I'm using all these terms because these terms are very important for all of you need to know. When I say prompt engineering, when I use the word context engineering, each of them has meaning. Prompt engineering means writing a prompt. Context engineering means giving a context for the prompt to generate better results. Very, very important. Okay, so then now we're talking about execution. Harness engineering is actually execution. How do you execute it? And then now you have something called as loop engineering. What is loop engineering? The agent executes the code, it learns from the experience, and the next cycle it will write better, it will perform better, it will execute better. So currently today, it is not enough you understand prompt engineering. It is not enough you understand context engineering. It is not enough you understand harness engineering. It is not enough you understand loop engineering. Context, prompt, harness, loop. These are the four engineering pillars on which Claude Code or Cursor or Codex, everything works on that. So what is this harness engineering? It is doing a complete engineering task in an execution model. See here, the diagram very clearly tells there is a repo. You need to understand the code base. You need to understand the structure. You need to understand the context. Then you run it in a plan mode. Do not execute the code just because you have a Claude code given to you. Always first run it in plan mode. See how the code will get created. You're actually not creating the code. You're telling Claude, do not create the code first. Run it in the plan mode to the specifications that I am giving. Once you understand that, then you can actually go ahead and make changes to the code. Then you run the commands. Then you test. Then you see the difference of the previous code version and the new code version. The versioning the code is also done by Claude. It is very important because you need to know what the old code was doing, what are the changes that are required to that old code, and how is the new code actually adhering to those changes. And then you can summarize that. Version 1 had these problems, version 2 solved these problems, but it created some more new problems. I'll have to run the execution again to develop version 3, and finally you commit it in your GitHub. So prompt engineering, context engineering, harness engineering. Harness means execution, and loop. Loop means, as I told you, the agent will run this entire cycle once. It learns from the experience like humans. It learns from the execution experience. Next time you actually again invoke the agent is going to get better. The experience teaches the agent to execute tasks better. It can run better, and it can do things better than what it did in the previous cycle. So the four engineering pillars of specs based development using Claude Code is prompt, again I repeat, prompt, context, harness, and loop. So which means understand, act, verify, and deliver. Now, the another problem that companies are now finding out is nobody thought about this 6 months back. Let me give an example. Microsoft had given one of these tools to their employees to generate code. Everybody was using the code, everybody was using the tool to generate the code, left and right. Now, what has happened is Microsoft team have burnt all the tokens which was supposed to be there for the entire year in June itself. So it is very important for you to understand that just because you have a tool, there is always a constraint of tokens. There is always constraint of capacity. You cannot just be running 100 times the same code and make changes small here and there because you're going to burn a lot of tokens. And to more tokens means more dollars. More tokens, more dollars because you need more GPU. And if you have to add more GPUs, you have to spend more money. No company can spend unlimited amount on GPUs. No company can spend unlimited amount of tokens. Therefore, you have to first understand, act, verify, and deliver. A good AI assisted programmer is one who he or she will actually first plan, then impulsively go and execute. Just because I'm giving a tool to you, you are using it left and right. That is not the way. Because there are constraints, there are dollars attached to it. So you need to be very smart in using these tools. So if you thought that these tools are making your life easy, it is only making your life easy in terms of actually executing the code. It is not making life easy just because you have a code. Okay, you still need to follow the engineering rigor. You still need to follow the prompt, context, harness, and loop, and you still need to do spec-based development, and you still need to do what you call it as ensuring that all the aspects while you developed is taken care of, and you are not just running the prompt. Very, very important. Okay, now let's look at the workflow. So you looked at the harness engineering, that is the execution model. Let us look at the workflow. See here, I have clearly defined the workflow. What should a developer do? All these are important. You need to have an architecture map. You need to have a key components and layers. You need to understand what are the entry points and interfaces. So you need to first build the context. You need to then understand the structure. You need to identify how things work. You need to spot the risks and boundaries. Just because you have a tool, you are thinking that the AI will generate a perfect code. You are living in a la la land. It doesn't work like that. The tool is not intelligent per se. The tool is intelligent in terms of writing the code, executing the code, analyzing the code, and ensuring that everything is done efficiently and quickly. But it doesn't have the other set of intelligence that it can actually guess the architecture. And even if it guesses, it will be wrong because these tools, the LLMs which are behind these tools are probabilistic in nature. We all know that if you write a prompt, the results will be different from the same prompt every 5 minutes. You can see different ways of responding. So it is probabilistic in nature. When something is probabilistic in nature, all the more it is dangerous because if you don't specify, it will assume. That is the most dangerous thing you can do when you're talking about using these Claude code tools. Very, very important. Because if you don't give, it should fail. But here, because it is having the innate intelligence is connected to an LLM, it doesn't fail. It will assume that you have not given, then I will assume it and develop it. And then you will create a very good engineering grade code, which nobody wants. Your customer is not looking for that. But because you depended on the tool too much, you do not know the architecture, you do not know the components, then you developed a refined, very good code which is of no use for anybody. And then you need to understand the core modules, packages. You need to test the commands. You need to do unit testing. You need to also do integration testing because your code may have multiple components. Not only unit testing, you have to do integration testing also. Test data has to be given, environment has to be checked. Not only that, now with these tools that are available, every developer has to understand security. Please remember, every developer has to understand security because customers are expecting you to do secure by design. They are saying you have a tool available now. So when you have a tool available now, why don't you do the secure at design? Why don't you do privacy at design? Why don't you do secure at default? Everything as part of the code itself. Previously, in the traditional way of coding, a set of developers would write the code, another set of developers would test it, another set of developers will do security analysis, another set of developers will go and deploy it. But now there is a new role known as FDE. I don't know if all of you have understood. Now the whole world is looking for a new role called as FDE, Forward Deployed Engineer. A forward deployed engineer is a one-man team who needs to do the entire workflow end to end. What is end to end? That is developing the code, first understanding the architecture, planning the code, developing the code, secure by design, privacy by design, secure by default, zero trust. Everything has to be done while you are writing the code. And you are the person who has to do the last mile delivery. You will develop, you will design, you will develop, you will test, you will bake in security and you will deploy. So many roles are now put into one and you will not even have project managers or product managers along with the developers. The developer has to do the job of project management. The developer has to do the job of an architect. The developer has to do job of a developer, obviously. The developer has to do the job of security specialist. The developer has to do a job of a consultant. The developer has to do a job of deployment. So if you get a chance, go to any of these websites and try to look at the role known as forward deployed engineer. Then you will understand the requirements of the role. So if this is the situation the world is moving, all of you need to understand everything. Project management, product management, little bit of security, writing the code, architecture, everything has to be known. So if you know that, you design the specs in the beginning itself, you bake in the specs, You do a specs based development, you specify everything, and then you're automatically the code will get created, and then you can do the testing and then deploy it in production. So specs based development or specs driven development is the order of the day. And also now people are in the new roles as FDE, forward deployed engineers. This role came in 2007 by a company called Palantir. I don't know whether you are aware of this company called Palantir. They were the first ones who came with this role called forward deployed engineer, a person who does everything, the workflow end to end, from design, from architecture, from coding, from deployment, up to everything. So all these skill sets are now required because AI is doing a lot of things. It's very simple. All these days, humans used to do 80% of the work and 20% of thinking. Again, I'm repeating, all these years, humans were doing 80% of the work and 20% thinking. With these AI tools that has come now, what is happening is that it is reversed. Humans have to now do 80% thinking and 20% doing because the remaining, see, 80% is taken care by the AI tools. So all this writing code, all this writing programs are now taken care by the AI tools. So therefore, the humans have to move from doing to thinking. So are we really thinking? Are we really thinking of innovation? No, we all have to do that. So when between doing and thinking, it is flipped. 80-20% has now become 20-80%. So most of the time of the developers are now free because these tools are doing it. And therefore, you'll have to actually ensure that you have to think, you have to come out with innovative practices quickly. Your customers now expect the answers or the product development in a jiffy. Gone are the days when products can be delivered by 10 people working 10 months with a project manager, product manager, so many developers who are there. So all these are now gone. We have very less time to actually do that. Okay. Now, before we go into this, I want to take a break here. We have covered most of the things that you need to know of AI assisted software engineering development and what are the important things that you need to know. So now we are going into the hardcore coding aspects. So before we do, I want to break it here and ask you, and if you have any questions till what we have covered, you can ask and then we'll continue. Yeah. Anybody has any questions? Feel free to ask. I'll be sipping my coffee meanwhile. So if you hear some noise, you should know that. Yeah, anybody has any questions till now? Okay, that is great. So you don't have any questions. So you understood what this tool is. You understood the architecture, etc. Now I'll show you, before we go into this, I will show you how do you create specs driven development. Again, I repeat, using these tools by writing prompts is the most useless way of leveraging these tools. So you need to do specs driven development. How do you do that? Look at this repo structure. I am showing it on the screen. Can somebody confirm you're able to see? And then I will continue. Can one of you say yes or no?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So what is specs driven development and what is a repo structure? This is what is there. When you write specs driven development using Claude, these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind. What are they? You have to create readme.md, you have to create claude.md, security.md, and code owners. These are the root level files that you create. What does it mean? Root level file means this is applicable across the entire code base. It is not confined to a session. It is not confined to one particular activity within that particular code base. So anything that is to be applied at the entire code level, entire code base at high level, then you need to create this project contract and root governance. The Claude.md, whatever you put it there, is applicable for the entire code base. So whatever you put in the Claude.md, whatever you put in the security.md is applicable for the entire code base. So that means whenever the Claude agent is actually executing, it is actually first reading from those conditions. If the conditions are met, it will do the rest. So at every time it is going to check this so that there is consistency in the way you write the code. Very, very important. So Claude.md and security.md, you put it at the root. That acts as your project contract, that acts as your governance. Everything has to follow whatever is written there. Then what is the second part in the repo? There is something called as runtime control layer. So if you see here, all the MCP I talked about model context protocol, all of them are defined in the mcp.json file. If you can see, there is mcp.json file. All the settings for this particular code base creation is there in the settings.json. Now you see there is something called as skills. See what is happening. Each skill is one task which it executes. So you can create multiple skills. For example, one skill.md under feature planning, one skill.md under bug fix, one skill.md under test engineering, one skill.md you're writing under code review. That means these skill.md can be executed multiple times in multiple ways as per the requirement, and each skill.md is associated with one task, one for feature planning, one for bug fixing, one for test engineering, one for code review and whatnot. Then, so we looked at the Claude.md, we looked at the security.md. They are, as I told you, at the repo level. The skills are individual tasks that you can define at the runtime control layer. And what are agents? There are three agents. Can you see here? I am defining the agents here. Architecture Explorer agent, Security Reviewer agent, and Test Engineer agent. So skills, agents, Claude.md, security.md, readme.md, and mcp.json will have all the MCP related tools to which you need to establish the connection. Because I told you, if you are doing a brownfield implementation, you need to have these set here. Now, what are hooks? Hooks are nothing but checks. If there are some dangerous stuff that is happening in the code, you need to block it. If there are some passwords or secret files that is there, you need to block it. So every time the hook will run, pre-tool use and post-tool use. So pre-tool use, it will check for these hooks, blocking all that which is not required. Post tools will again do a scan and will capture the difference in summary. So we looked at Claude, we looked at security, we looked at settings.json, we looked at mcp.json, we looked at skills, we looked at agents, we looked at hooks, and we looked at now policy. What is policy? What are the policy that needs to be followed for this code? The code base that you are using, what are the allowed tools? What are the denied actions? What are the sensitive paths? And what are the human approval metrics needed? So all this comes under .claude in the runtime control layer. So in the runtime control, you are defining the settings.json, mcp.json, skills, agents, and hooks and policies. Now you see here, next in the repo comes the documentation. I told you, right? The most unglamorous work that developers don't want to do is documentation. Now you are defining it separately. You will create under docs, architecture, engineering documentation, AI SDLC documentation. And then for application and verification, you are creating the tests and scripts under SRC, tests and scripts. And then workflow automation can go into your Git. So see here, see this one. Claude is your project constitution. What is that? Whatever is written in Claude.md is applicable across the entire repo. Without that, without meeting the conditions there, you cannot do anything. Skills are repeatable workflows. Agents are what? Specialist. It does one task. You've seen here. One for feature planning, one for bug fix, one for test engineering. Hooks are nothing but policies and hooks are for governance. I told you what are the guardrails and governance are there, what can be done, what cannot be done, what is allowed, what is not allowed, what is denied, etc. This is how you have to write specs driven development. So that means whenever somebody tells you, can you use Claude and generate production level engineering grade code, your mind should immediately go to this kind of a repo structure. Everything has to be defined, everything has to be methodically defined, everything has a purpose. There is a method to the madness. Very, very important. So you should have Claude.md, you should have skills, you should have agents, you should have hooks and policies, and you should have the GitHub workflows. Okay. All right. We'll just take a 2 minutes break. I'll have a water break and then we'll continue. Okay. I'll meanwhile stop the screen. Any questions here? Anybody has any questions? Okay. If no question, then give 2 minutes. I'll come back after we have a water break. Okay. Yeah, we are back. Any questions? Anybody? I'm back. Anybody has any? Yeah, go ahead. If you have any questions, please ask.
Yes. As you explained that in spec-based development, you have explained the folder structures. But what is the main difference between a prompt-based development and spec-based development? Like in prompt, we also put points like what we have to develop.
Yeah.
Then what is the main major difference on the spec-based development? That we have to put the specs in the prompt,
No,
as
you
you
what?
have
No,
just
no. Yeah. So what you have
okay.
to do is you have to define the specs and then write a prompt to execute it accordingly so that it will follow this particular sequence. One prompt you have to anyway write. But what you're doing is that you are not writing a set of prompt, but you are actually writing it as part of the execution. So you are defining the execution and then you're running it. Okay.
So can there is any way to identify that how can we make more specific kind of spec-based development? Like
Sorry, I didn't get your question. What was the question?
Like how we can create more quality in spec-based development,
So this is
like
what I have given you, right? When your
how
quality
to write a
comes when
better
you,
specs.
yeah, so you write a better specs. This is what you need to follow. You need to define the skills, you need to define the agents, you need to define the policies. Policies and hooks will make sure that whatever are the principles that you want to follow as part of that will be incorporated. Similarly, Claude.md and security.md that is there, you define what are the conditions, preconditions on which you want to execute that. Okay. So all
But
that
I,
precondition,
yeah, there is a doubt. Like I think these are the helping hands, like Claude.md and policies and hooks are helping hands of the project. But specs are something that we are going to put inside the cloud code,
yeah.
as
So
per
you need to
my.
put that. Yes, you have to put it. You have to define what your specs are. Okay. So you define what your specs are and you put it in the Claude.md or security.md. Any development that you are doing, don't you think you get an information beforehand that what is the expectation, what is the secure by design principles, etc. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So all that has to be defined in your Claude.md. Security.md, you define all the things that are related to security, etc. Okay. And then you define the hooks and the policies. Any other questions? Anybody has any other questions? Okay. See, why is planning mode is very important. I told you, right? It will eat up a lot of tokens. So it is very important that you first plan the development and then you ensure that you plan before you execute it. See here, you define the requirement very clearly. You define the goals and acceptance criteria. You define the constraints and assumptions, and you define the impact analysis. You plan the change before any code is modified. Very, very important. If you do not plan it, then you are in serious trouble. You should also see what are the components and dependents that is getting impacted. What are the files and modules to change? How do you actually have the related configuration and assets? What are the risks that can go wrong? What are the likelihood and severity? What is your test strategy? And what is your rollout notes? All these needs to be there as part of your test driven development. If you don't have this, then you are in serious trouble. So please plan your development and only then you can actually go ahead and execute it. Otherwise, you will face a lot of trouble after creating the code, and that is not a good thing. So plan mode, please run it in plan mode. That's the first lesson I want all of you to know. Second, what is the feature delivery loop? You see here, a production grade workflow from request to pull request is all this. You have an issue, you have an acceptance criteria, you have a design, you do the code, you do the test, you do the local verification, you do the diff review, and you do the PR summary. All these are very, very important as part of your feature delivery loop. If you don't give the issue, if you don't give the acceptance criteria, if you do not design, if you do not code properly and then test it and then verify it locally and you do a diff on the review and your PR summary, then it is not going to help. So you need to design for traceability and for verification. So you checked why to run it in plan mode. First thing is very important that you should know that you should be able to run it in plan mode. The second important is that you should be able to actually do a feature delivery loop where it starts from the issue, it goes to the PR summary, and that again becomes an input for the issue. Again, it has to go through the acceptance criteria. the design, the code, the test, local verification, etc. All these are very important as part of your development. What is bug fixing? Again, the next important thing, we saw the planning mode. Now we also looked at the feature delivery mode. Now you need to look at the bug fixing loop. So how do you actually design in a specs based development in the bug fixing mode? See here, you have to reproduce the issue, recreate the problem reliably with tests and steps, inspect the log, review the logs and metrics, trace the root cause. Always remember, try to do as minimal patch as you can. Don't make it too much of a patching thing. Whatever is minimal required, that only you need to patch. And then you need to run the existing regression tests and you need to explain the fix. All these are very, very important. So the goal is to fix the cause, not just the symptom. Okay. So the bug fix has to happen in a loop. It has to be continuously monitored and it has to be reproduced. It has to be inspected. It has to be traced. It has to have minimal patch. It has to have a regression test and then you need to explain it. All these are part of your specs driven development. Okay. Any questions still here? What should be there as part of your specs? Anybody has any questions? Let us look at the testing discipline that you need to bring in as part of your specs based development. See here, you need to make verification. You need to do the missing tests. You need to test for the edge cases as well. What are the edge cases? You have to cover boundary conditions. What are the integration tests that you need to do? What are the failure path tests? What are the regression packs? How do you fix the test data? All these are very, very important. Okay, so when you have a testing plan in place, you need to have a comprehensive coverage of that. You need to have that automated wherever it is possible. You need to have it reliable and repeatable loops, and you need to have a fast feedback loops. All these are important. Now, what I will do now is I am actually going to show you the code base and then we will run it in Claude so that you understand what we spoke and what we discussed about specs driven development. So whatever we have talked and whatever we have discussed, all these are part of your specs driven development. So I explained you this repo structure. Okay. Now I am actually going to show you the code and then we will actually say use this repo structure and then you create the code. So the repo structure acts as a template. Whatever you define in the repo structure goes and then executes it and then creates the code base for that. So how does that happen? So let's take a look. So now I have stopped all the diagrams and explanation, the architecture. Whatever we have done till now, anybody has any questions before we go into the actual demo and the coding, the code review and how to execute it? Anybody has any questions till here? Okay, if you don't have any questions, so I'll stop sharing. I will now go to the code and then I will show you what that code is and how that works so that you understand. What we are doing is now we are doing something like this. Can you see there are three code bases which are there. One for the banking domain, one for the manufacturing domain, and one for the healthcare domain. So let us run all the three so that you understand what we are talking about. Okay. So before you run this, you have to first open your Claude code. If you have not not seen that, I will show it to you. Let me share my screen again. Are you able to see my screen? Can somebody confirm?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is how typically I can either use a command line interface or I can use the app which is there with that. So I'm using the app. You can select the models here. There are many models which are there. You have the older models and you have the newer models. You can use any of the model. We know that Fable, which was released recently, is unavailable. US has pulled it back, so you will not see that. But you have enough models for you to actually use. So this is what is your how your interface looks if you are using the app. Okay. So now what I will do, I will stop sharing this and then I will go back to the specs driven development, how the specs has been written. So first we look at banking. Let us say you're doing it for a bank. Now I will share my screen. Can you see the screen now? I have given you the code bases. You can see the code bases. There are three code bases here. One for banking, one for healthcare, and one for manufacturing. So I will first extract all of them here itself. One by one, let me extract those. Just let me know you're able to see my screen so that you have to keep telling me so that we are on track. Okay.
Yes,
One of you.
we can
Yeah.
see.
Okay. Wonderful. So I have extracted all the three. I'm stopping it now. So what I've done is that I have a zip file and I have extracted all the specs. Now let us go into the specs and see. Let me first open the banking example. I go to the banking. I go to the repo. See, all that I have told you in the diagram on specs based development is all there. Can you see security.md is there? I click on this. It opens the security.md. Can you see that? What is prohibited? Real customer, patient, employer, production data, API keys, tokens, passwords, private key,
We
external
can't see
model.
the we can't
Okay,
see the
all right. I'll just reshare it again. Just tell me whether you're able to see. Okay. Can you see the security.md file?
yes.
Yes.
Ah, so this is how you write the security.md. I spoke about it some time back. See here. What is prohibited? What is required? You write it like this. This takes care of security.md. Okay. Now, now I will again go to this and then I will go to the repo explorer. Able to see the screen? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Screen is
Ah,
visible.
so all there. Yeah. Requirements are there. Claude. Can you see the Claude.md? So I'm opening that one. I will like, I think every time I have to share. So I'll just share that Claude.md. Can you see the Claude.md? The Claude.md acts as an operating model. Everything is given here. You're working in a governed SD lab repo for banking. Implement the smallest safe change. See, what is the mandatory behavior? So every code has to follow this, otherwise it will not get executed. Read the relevant docs, summarize the rules, edit only so and so, do not edit test, do not use external, keep logic deterministic, and after editing, run the Python and then review the checklist. Everything is given here as part of the Claude.md. So whatever you want to give as part of the Claude.md, you have to define it here as part of this. Okay, I'll stop sharing. Again, I go back to the repo code so that you really understand all these things. See here, dot Claude I showed you. What is there in the dot
What
Claude? All
Claude
the
is
runtime related. See, able to see or not? Somebody was
Yes.
talking. You're able to see, right? Okay. This is your dot Claude. So if you see here, whatever I told you is all defined here. Agents are defined. Audit is defined. Policies I showed you, all these are defined. Skills are defined. See here, whatever I showed you, all these skills, skill.md. I go to the code review, the skill.md is there. Everything is defined here as part of that. And then we can go back to the code review explorer, security hardening, all the features are there. MCP, I told you that the JSON file settings, you can see that's what. Okay. All these are defined. So whatever I have shown you in the diagram, everything is there in the specs code base. Okay. README is also there. Tests, the tests are defined here. This is how you need to create the specs. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you don't have this mindset, if you do not create it in this way, then you will be in serious trouble. Can you see? See here, this is all these things are there, which is there as part of that. So this is how you create. Now, this is for the banking specs that I've created. Okay. Now I have also written a prompt. Just tell me whether you are able to see the prompt. I will show this one. Go to the Lab Explorer. This is the prompt for banking. Are you able to see the prompt?
No.
Okay. Then I have to stop sharing. Every time looks like it has to be. Yeah. Can you see that now?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what we have done, we have created the specs. We have defined everything in the way which we need to define a specs driven development. And now you have written a prompt. In the prompt, see here, you are inside this banking thing. Execute this as a local task before editing. Read, see here, how nicely the prompt has been written. Readme.md, Claude.md, security.md, and whatever it is .md, all these things has to be read. First, summarize the business rules in crisp points. Then create a short implementation plan. Run the baseline test. Implement the missing deterministic triage. Do not edit, test synthetic data, policy, etc. If the test fail, fix. After all test has been passed, run the script. Your final response should be files changed, business logic implemented, test result, demo result, security and compliance notes, and the remaining assumptions. And what are the guardrails that are need to be given as part of this? Everything is defined. Okay. So this is how you write only one. This is not prompt engineering. Okay. You have defined the specs and you are kicking that specs by writing one prompt. That's all. You are telling that this prompt, you use it and use that repo and create it, create the code. You are not actually writing continuously prompts haphazardly without a plan and then trying to create it. You have a structure, you have a method, and then you trigger it using this particular prompt. Only one prompt to trigger. Now what I will do, I will stop sharing. Now let us run this code in our Claude, and then we will see how it works. So what I am going to do is that I am going to just give me a minute. I'll just go to this code. I will share the screen. Can you see? So I go to something called as code. Okay. And then I will actually create a new thing and I will write this here and I will copy this prompt which I have given you, which you cannot see, but I will be copying. When I copy, you will see. I will copy this and I'll put this here. Okay. And then you can execute this one. See here, now it is executing. So what you're doing, you are connected to the repo and then you are running that code. So now it is actually interactive. It will tell first what should, do you want this to run? Yes, say yes, allow once. So it is running. Allow Claude to use PowerShell. You click on this allow button. See how it is interacting at every stage with the developer. See how it is actually developing. Somebody is talking. Please go on mute. Okay, so allow. You say always allow. It is extracting that. So that zip, I put the zip file there directly. So it is doing that, and I have to keep running this one. It also tells you how many tokens it is reading. Can you see that? 1 minute, 8 seconds. It has taken some amount of tokens. Now it is actually running that banking payment, and it says allow.
Muted.
We can't hear you.
Somebody put me on mute again. Somebody is playing mischief. I don't know what's happening. You're able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can
So
hear you.
now it is, yeah, now it is doing. See here. So now it is whatever you have told, then it is doing that as part of that. At every step, it will ask. Do not always give approve everything blindly, okay? Because you don't want to click like this. If you give approve everything in the beginning, then you don't know what is happening, and then it will create problems. So just because it is asking and it looks very irritating, you should not, because you should read this and you should understand what it is doing. See, all the 8 tests have passed. Allow once. See, it has implemented the business logic. Now it is executing that. So what it has done the 8 tests, all the tests have passed. It has created. This is how you need to, if you want to chat with it, you can go here. For example, you want to, let us say I want to create a small application, maybe a quiz application, offline quiz application. I'll also show you. I've shown you how to create this using the specs, but if you want to know how to create using a simple prompt, let me just write one small prompt for you. Create a set of 15 multiple, let us say I want to create an app. To create a offline HTML quiz app with 15 multiple choice questions on generative AI, let us say. I'm giving the specs. Now, this is how you write the prompt, but I'm just giving you one other way of doing it apart from the specs you are writing. Okay. Let do a complete and complete analysis and sanity check and give me the updated app that can be run offline without internet connectivity. Just giving, so I'm asking it to create a multiple choice. I can also say ensure the answers are distributed across A, B, C, and D options as much as possible. Also ensure the answers should not be guessable by patterns by participants. So what I'm doing here is that I am giving a very detailed prompt. I'm asking it to create an offline HTML quiz app with 15 multiple choice questions on GenAI. It will pick up. If you have content, you can give, otherwise it will pick up. Do a complete analysis, do a sanity check. It can be run offline without internet connectivity. Ensure the answers are distributed across these options as much as possible, and also ensure you should. So now if I give the specs like this, the prompt like this, let's see what happens. Now it is creating a HTML quiz app. I just wanted to show a simple demo as to how you can create an app. Apart from specs driven development, you can also write prompts and prompt writing, and doing it is only for understanding how the tool works. In your real production grade, you will have to actually use the specs driven development. That is one thing that you should always remember. See here, you can also see how it is actually creating that one. Within no time, see, hundreds of lines of code is already created. If you can see on the screen, you will realize that. So let it complete. So whatever you have not specified, that is taken care by the LLM. That itself will assume. See, now it has done all checks have been passed, no external dependencies. Now it is created. Now you can run this, expand this. Are you able to tell me if you're able to see the quiz on the screen? Otherwise, I will reshare. Able to see?
Yes, we can see. We can
Okay,
see.
see how the quiz has been created. So now I'm just starting the quiz. See now it is saying there is some error. Can you see? Uncaught console.assert is not a function or whatever. Now you'll have to do, copy this one. This is how you do actually. Not necessary that every time it will work. So now what you do is I hit the following error while developing the app. Can you fix it? So I give the I give the error here, and then let us see what it does. Now it is thinking through. See now this is how the code refactoring and the code correction happens. So remember, always first time it's not necessary that it will create a perfect. As humans, when we write code, it never happens for the first time, right? Always there will be some errors that is going to happen. So see here. So root cause, there is some mention. It is also given the fix, and then it is saying that now it parses and it executes. So now the file is ready. I'll open this. Let us see what happens. Now it is working. Can you see what is the primary architecture? Okay, I just want to just click it. So next, see, now it is working. So the app is created in no time. Wherever you have given spec, it has taken care of the spec. Wherever you have not given the spec, it is assuming. So I'm just blindly putting something for you to see the functionality of that program that is
Visible
being
actually.
written.
Sorry, it's not visible.
Okay, let me, yeah, good that you please speak up. Otherwise, looks like every time. So what I am, Kani, are you able to see the screen now? Quiz?
Yes.
Yeah. So just tell me now if you're able to see. Are you able to see the first question? Hello?
Yes, we
Yes.
can
Yes.
see.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just showing you how this tool, the app has been created. I'm just clicking just to show you the functionality, not about the answers. Just randomly see. This is how your app has got created. It also threw an error. You should know how to actually ask it to fix the error. See here, the quiz has been done and it is giving the answer. So one is using specs driven development and one you can use while writing the prompts. Prompts are good only if you want to do some basic things, but for all the other things that we are talking about, so you can do the specs based development for that. Okay. Okay. Now, any questions on the tool? I'll just keep my window again there on back to our Claude. Any questions on the tool here? Anybody has any questions? So when I went into the code, you could see the code, right? So you can create it from here. Okay. So you can say new session and you can say disk. See here, I'm saying a new session. Now you see here, I can, if my code is in local, I can select that. So I'll go to local or maybe I'll go to this Claude code, open folder. So I'll go to desktop. I will go to my files which I have stored. So let us say I have stored it in where? I have stored it in labs, right? Cancel 1 minute. I'll just show you where I have stored it. I have stored it in, yeah, yeah, it is in the labs folder. So what I am going to do, just give me a minute. Labs. So let me share my screen again so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Also tell me whether you're able to see my uh, codex. You're able to see the codex now? Folder session? Able to see? If not, I will reshare it. So I will reshare it. Yeah. So I'll go to this codex session and then I will reshare it. Yeah. So I'm here. I can select this one. I select the code part because now we are not writing prompts, right? We are writing the code part. See here. Also, it is telling how many tokens I have used. What is the model? Which model used? How many tokens I have used? Everything is given. 30 days total, 7 days total. Everything it is given you. All the information it is there, so that I know that okay, this how much token? What is my peak hour work? What was my favorite model? What is my current development stick? How many development I have done in the last 1 day? 6 for different workshops. So now I select this, I open folder, I go to desktop, I select labs. I'm looking at the healthcare. So I selected that folder. Okay, I selected the folder. Now I will give the prompt for that. So I've shown you the prompt. So I will pick up for the healthcare part. Just tell me you're able to see my prompt in the Claude. You able to see?
Yes, we see.
Yeah. So I selected the next one now. We did the finance one. Now we are doing the what you call it as the healthcare one. So I have selected that. Again, I have given all the information. what is required, what testing has to be done. Same. See, the structure of specs driven development remains the same. You may add a lot of things here as per the requirement, but it remains. Now it is creating. Now you see, now it is creating the code for the healthcare triage. So we did one for the finance and now we are doing for the healthcare. And then it's also telling you how many tokens it's being used. So give it some time and then it is actually creating that.
Mohan, this is Shiv. May I interrupt you to ask a question in
Yes,
case
Shiv,
this is the
please.
right
Yeah,
time?
yeah. No, 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 ask it. It is
Okay.
anyway doing. So you go ahead.
Okay. I mean, me as not a real-time developer per se, I'm at a role to manage people, manage developers. But
Hmm.
a scenario where can we do something like we build an application through prompting rather than
Yes,
the other structured
yes,
way
yes. You
of
can do that.
laying down
You
all the rules and policies and security. And
you can do that.
once the app has been developed by Claude,
Hmm.
uh, I then go and check all the security.md, etc., and see whether of if the Claude can tell me that look, we recommend that you kind of look at these parameters and upgrade them to include this, this, this. So by default,
Yes,
I think it would generate all the security MD and Claude and everything,
yes,
agents and stuff and
yes.
policies.
Very good. It's a good question. And that's how organizations have to do. You define your, see, there are two ways. Ask Claude to decide what is the security or what is the Claude.md is dangerous because you are giving the onus to AI. It may work, but it is not reliable and danger. But if you know your organization, if you know what are the security specs, if you know what is the requirements, and you have used a demo app, you can capture all that and you will feel that the AI will now make it safe because I defined what I want rather than I am assuming and the AI is defining what I want. Right?
Okay, so if you can come again, sorry, I missed that part. That if
Huh.
I'm starting from the prompting part, how do I tell Claude to ensure that all the basic, necessary, critical security and other policies are laid down and used by Claude to generate the app?
Okay, so we will look at the same example. I will write a prompt there to show it. Let this be finished. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so anyway, this is running. So once this is done, we'll go to there and then we will. Okay, this is done. Now to answer your question back, we created this app, right? You remember? This app is created. Can you see on the
Right.
screen? Huh. Now, now you want to understand what are the security things that are there. And so I will write, can you
Okay,
ensure?
why I asked the objective of the question was that as a novice or you
Yeah,
can say
you
as a
can.
starter in the Claude, I'm not probably so much aware and savvy on what type of security policies and the
No
other
worries.
policies to be applied and
I
stuff.
got your
And
question. Yeah,
yeah, so I
you can
want
look.
that Claude should by default incorporate the bare minimum critical security and other policies and everything,
Correct.
and I can then later review it once the app is generated
I got it.
and
I
probably
got it.
then can find from somewhere some suggestions how to further enhance the security or stuff like that.
Correct. Very good question. So what I'm doing is, can you ensure secure by design? Okay. Privacy by design and all the best available security policies can be incorporated in the above app. Okay. I
Yeah.
will also say,
How
I will
important
also
how
say, yeah,
important is it to ensure the right typo? In the sense, suppose we just miss a word and a wrong
yeah, yeah.
listing. It's
It
okay.
generally it is intelligent to pick up, but better you be very precise. Okay.
Perfect.
So now I have written it. Now I will also say, do let me know what are the security principles you actually implemented. So you're asking it to implement, but at the same time, you're
Okay.
asking it to give me what are the things that you implemented. Let's see what happens. Okay. So now it's thinking, and now it is, yeah, see, now it's doing that. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's now doing whatever it's supposed to do.
So right now it is doing it knowing that it's an offline app. But had it been
Correct.
an online app, it would probably expand
Do,
its
yeah, definitely. It will do more. It will do more.
right. Okay.
It will look into more aspects like connected to internet, firewall, and stuff like that. For
Correct.
a
Correct.
demo
Okay.
purpose, I just wanted to show you because you asked me. But in
Definitely, yes.
reality, if you want to do that, then see now still think about this. Still, even though it's
Right.
offline, there's still a lot of things it needs to do. See here, it's doing quite a few
Right.
things. Yeah, so now it is doing that one. See here, it has found in its own code a lot of vulnerabilities. And then it is
Right.
trying to, yeah. Something very interesting I want to share with all of you. Anthropic conducted a hackathon for Claude recently. Okay. Around the
Right.
world, so many developers across the world, they all joined. Can you guess who was the topper or who won the hackathon and the prize? Can you tell me can anybody guess the profile of the person? Anthropic, worldwide
Another
it has done
cloud
a
app.
hackathon on the Cloud app. Yeah. So who actually won the developed the app and won the prize? Can you guess the profile of the person? Guess it, man. It's okay. I am not asking you to be right. Who do you think would have
Another
done it?
cloud app. Another cloud app.
Another another cloud? No. Give me the profile of the person who would have probably cracked that.
So purely a non-developer.
Yeah, but tell me who it is.
Or a
Non-developer.
19-year-old boy who cracked the CBSE.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Any other guesses? Anybody? Any other guesses?
I came across it, but forgetting now.
Yeah. So you cannot believe so many developers from different companies, very sharp people across the world, they all joined. Even Anthropic people, some of the Anthropic's customers, Anthropic is not allowed to participate. Obviously, it is their hackathon, but their partners also, many companies, Microsofts of the world, the Teslas of the world, they all participated. But you know who won the first prize or the hackathon?
I
Intervention
think some
cardiologist.
finance related guy.
No,
Okay,
no.
sorry.
One
Okay.
intervention cardiologist, a surgeon won that one. Can you believe it? He has no clue about what the hell is a software, what the hell is programming Python. But that person was sensible enough to understand that I have two things to take care. One, have clear requirement specification. Second, write prompt in such a way that it is not ambiguous. So if you are prompting and your context engine skills are very good, and if you follow a method, if you define your requirements very clearly, if you define your requirements methodically, if you know a decent prompt engineering and context engineering, you can win a hackathon. This should be an inspiration for anybody or everybody who's going to use these tools. Randomly using a tool, it's like giving a toy to a child. We can do a lot of things with that tool and feel happy about it. That is not the thing. The real thing is, if I have this tool in my leverage, how should I actually use this tool to the maximum effect to generate the outcomes? That is the skill that all of you need to learn. If you learn that, then you will be successful in using. So there is, see, the entry barriers have totally come down. Gone are the days. Can you imagine a cardiologist, interventional cardiologist? When will he develop a code? When will he write a Python? When will he test? When will he execute? When will he implement? When will he deploy? But he sat for 24 hours. It was 8 hours into 3 days, something. He sat for 24 hours. They gave him unlimited tokens and then he developed the app. He then presented what are the specs he has given. So you need people with common sense and you need people with interest, and then things will work out. Will it happen in the first go? No. But if you know how to iterate, if you know how to interact, if you know how to leverage all the features of the tool, like I've shown you, hooks, agents, policies, Claude.md, agent.md, sub-agents, profile, everything you. So you define everything very methodically. You think in a way, typically a software engineer thinks in the previous days while writing the code. Think modular. Take a big program, decompose it into small parts, and then you decide how to actually write the code and execute. Now see here in this case, now it has created. Now it has created, it has given. So we asked also, if you remember, you implemented those security things, but you are also asking what are the things you have implemented. See here, security and privacy design principle, all these have been implemented. So I said secure by design, it has implemented all six. I said privacy by design, it has implemented all the privacy related things. So this is how
Okay, I
you actually,
assume that this would be possible, but
huh,
another similar thing that suppose while it has implemented all these security policies,
hmm,
if I specifically also add that please ensure that the standard security checks as the industry standards, used by tools like, your burp suit and stuff like that and other things
okay. So
are
let us write, you tell
ensured.
me, yeah, now you tell me, I will write the prompt. Now that you know how to do that, you tell me what is your requirement, I will write it. You just spell it out,
Okay.
I'll write it.
So basically, I want to ensure that all the IS, that what is that word? IS information security standard parameters and guidelines are met. All the latest, sorry.
So I just mentioned ensure all the
Uh,
information
yeah,
security standards and guidelines from the latest updates are taken care of in the above app. Also,
right,
let me know what they are. I'm just asking it again
sure,
also. I'm also asking
right,
you, okay, you do that and then tell me what you did. Because just by
right,
telling that you do, you may not have a track of that. So you should learn from
right.
that at what it has done. So now let's see what happens. See, can you see now it is picking up from all these standards and guidelines. The OWASP top 10, the new OWASP guidelines, everything it is picking. See here. So January 2026 is the latest one it picked up. That's okay. It may not have much changes after that. So now it is doing those changes. So you're actually saying a real business case where the requirements are given and then you're actually creating the entire, now see here. It is actually doing that, addressing the new one. Okay. By the way, if you have a pro account or a plus account only, you can do it. If you if you have a free account, the tokens will get expired very soon. So you can try it for your own small, tiny some program or some app you want to develop, but you should at least have a pro or a plus account. Okay, it's very important.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's done. So now it has implicit. It is giving you all this. Can you see here? It has addressed this configuration issue. It addressed this configuration issue. Some others are not applicable. It found what is not applicable and everything is given.
Sure. That's looks good.
So with that, I think whatever agenda I wanted to cover, I have covered. Anybody has any questions for the last 8 minutes? If you have any questions on this or anything in generic on what we talked about today, let me know. I'll be happy to answer.
Sir, what do you think about Obsidian and Obsidian Vault?
Yeah,
So
it is
instead of
good.
staying on MD, what
Yes,
else?
yes, it is
Yeah.
good. One of the biggest advantage of that is it can think in terms of graphs, knowledge graphs and semantic layer.
Mhm.
So it is a very good add-on to your current ecosystem. Definitely. It'll act as a second brain for sure.
So instead of saving it on an MD file, we can directly
Yeah,
save it on a Obsidian
correct.
Vault, right?
Yes, 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 absolutely. And it also takes care of the security aspects and it is easy to manage, right? You don't have to really go into the intricacies and manage very minutely. At an abstract level, you can manage it. So
At
it's far more
abstract
easy.
level, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in read.md, I mean in claude.md, you have mentioning that go and read this file. Instead of
Correct.
that, Obsidian Vault directly
Yes,
put a
yes, yes.
hyperlink
Yes,
basically.
yes, yes, you can do that. See, we
Yeah,
are looking at this tools features. So that's why I didn't go into external things and adding to that one. But
got it.
I just wanted to tell everybody the feature has so many, the tool has so many powerful features. So that's why I wanted to show the hardcore engineering aspects rather than uh, the abstract. Yeah, but to answer your question, yes, definitely yes. Anybody else has a question?
I guess till the time somebody else asks, allow me one more.
Sure.
Uh, so, like going through the structured way has its own benefits and all, not doing anything wrong and stuff like that.
Correct.
But how extensive or stretchable is the prompting route to lay down the specifications of an app, say a simple finance app which has 4 or 5 screens,
Yeah.
with each of them having a 10 to 12 fields, more or less the same fields, but yes, differing a little bit screen by screen, and
More than
creating a
enough.
workflow.
More than enough with your regular prompting. The way we did now, I showed you the demo, right? You
Right.
were asking and then I was doing. So that's more than enough. If you're
So,
developing
which
the
means
real,
that,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, which means that I can, within the prompting thing itself, I can define these 5 screens, and these are
Yes,
the fields which are to be used.
absolutely.
These are mandatory fields, and the value of the first these fields go to the next screen.
Absolutely. You can do that.
Okay, great,
Only
great.
thing is you'll have to two, three times you have to iterate because it is also learning how
Sure,
to do it. So you'll
I,
have
I
to,
understand definitely.
yeah, it won't happen. If people expect, some people expect, Ram, you said this prompt, it not created. It's a tool.
No, no, yeah,
It will
yeah,
hallucinate
yeah.
and you'll have to go through and more than that, you will know whether it is created or not. Your gut feeling should tell, okay, something is wrong. Okay. Are you sure? You ask.
Right,
Can you ensure you do?
right,
Now you just asked me to test the security features. I gave the prompt. Again, you
right,
asked me, has it taken
It,
care of all the information security thing? Now this will come while you're developing the ideas. It won't happen.
right,
You can't be, what you called preempting everything while you define. It's not possible. So
right.
while you do,
Right.
you will get some ideas. Okay.
So it's
So
an iterative process to kind of
absolutely,
really fine tune it into the perfect
yeah,
piece.
yeah. And once you do
Sure.
that, you can store all that prompts in your prompt library. Next development
Right.
will be pretty fast because you already have done an experience and you have saved what prompts work well and what prompts are effective. It's then about reusing those prompts.
Okay. One basic thing I missed, that how do I define, or what language or platform was Claude using to generate
Very good,
this app? I mean,
very good question. Claude is not told because it's their IP. It's their IP,
okay,
but I think
okay,
it has used 70% Python and 30% Rust. Now you don't quote me this because this is just my my research which has told me. Obviously,
that's okay.
Anthropic will not publish, but I have saw in some of the Reddit conversations that it has been the lower level memory management is taken care by Rust. The remaining thing has been written in Python, but
Okay.
nobody would know unless the Python guys, and they will not do
So,
because,
which,
yeah, you go
okay,
ahead.
sorry, and, that's quite helpful. Can I specify a platform that I want a .NET and SQL based
Yeah,
code?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes, you can
perfect.
do any language, but the internal architecture is been written by this. That's what is the Reddit
Right,
tells me, but
right.
nobody can actually really tell
No, no,
because it's
more,
an
more
IP.
than the internal, more than the
Yeah, yeah.
internal architecture, I was bothered more about the app code
It can
which
you
is
can do it
generated.
in you can do it in anything.
So by default,
Any
it was using what?
yeah, it was using Python in my case.
Okay, fine. And a very blunt question, if I don't mind.
Yeah.
Between Claude and other peer AI code generators, like maybe there is a .NET code or something, uh, right? There is an
Hmm.
AI component uh, which is specifically meant for a generation of .NET code,
Yeah.
and the other, kind of peer platforms. What are the USPs of Claude, which scores above this
No, yeah,
VS
actually,
Code or something?
yeah, no. Actually, Claude and Codex and Cursor. Cursor is now, I think, taken over by Tesla or I think Starlink. I don't know. Claude and Codex are equally good. Codex is from OpenAI, so it has come from the company which started all this GenAI business. And Claude is
Right.
also Anthropic. Anthropic is also guys who have moved out of OpenAI and started the company. So the only thing
Mm.
you're to answer your blunt question is that Claude is also good, Codex is also equally good. But the sense I'm getting is Claude has become more token hungry. Now, is it because of the design or is it the company is trying to, put less tokens so that more people buy? I don't know what is the truth. Codex seems to have
Okay.
more tokens available than
Okay.
Claude at this point of
And
time. Now
and
it
one
could be
point which is
because
of
of
a
the
concern,
huh, yeah,
one point
go
which
ahead.
is of a concern actually to the end users of Claude and other tools.
Yeah,
We hear more scary stories with Claude of
yeah, yeah,
interfering with the person who's using it and trying
yeah,
to
correct.
blackmail or whatever words,
Yeah,
you know.
yes.
So
Yeah,
how
see
to
those.
safeguard? I'm not saying
No, no,
that
you
not
can't.
don't use Claude. How to
No, no,
safeguard?
you can't. You'll have to define your Claude.md and put all the guardrails in place. But how much you can? No, it's like asking, I will be going to Chennai tomorrow. What is the, how do I, can you ensure that there is no earthquake or something? So it's very difficult. You can sense a few
Okay.
things and you can capture it in your security.md,
Okay.
Claude.md, but beyond that, you cannot do much. So what I suggest
Okay.
is you should always have a backup before you do something in
Okay.
the code which is already there. Yeah, these
Sure.
things do
Okay.
matter. All
Okay.
right, then.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I think this is a 2 day program, but we compressed it for 2 hours to give you a very good understanding. And I answered all your questions and showed a demo and then explained you what is specs driven development and you understood the architecture of Claude. With this, I think uh, anything you read on Claude or anything you do from today onwards, it will make far more sense to all of you, I'm sure. Okay. All right, then.
Sure.
Thank you
Pretty
very much.
insightful.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
So,
Very
Thank you
helpful.
very much.
yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.